You're listening to Radigan's Rockcast, a series focused on talking about music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even current. Now, here's your host, Tom Radigan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Radigan's Rockcast. Whether you are listening to this on WMYO, Amazon, Spotify, YouTube, Castos, wherever you are on, I'm glad you are on. So, Maroon 5. We've discussed their first two studio albums. Now we are going over Hands All Over. And so it was 2010. And around this time, Maroon 5 technically as a group was already together for a while at this point. They were already together for like close to, 20 years at that point, And, but, as a group in the Focus, they were still, it was still 8 years since their first album. And with this album, they're able to keep it similar to Songs About Jane, and even won't be before. That title is a long title to say. It won't be soon before long. That title. It's hard to say that title. I don't know why. I don't know why for me. I don't know why it's hard to say that title. I don't know. It's a long title. But Hands All Over is a pretty... It's a decent album, I think. With the song, I remember my friend at the time was telling me about the song Misery from Maroon 5. And I was like, okay. I mean, I knew that there was a Beatles song, Misery. So I checked out, and I was wondering, was it a cover of that? But I was like, realizing, it probably wasn't. And when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good. This is actually really good." And and it was this, it was one of the jams of 2010. And I didn't really check out the album until recently. And a lot of the songs are good for what, a lot of the music that was coming out in 2010. And it made me realize that, because around that time I was more into, of course, like 60s and 70s music and all that. But thinking back, 2010 actually had a lot of good songs that came out that year, honestly. And the album itself definitely is able to still be simple, I mean, of course there is a little bit more instruments, and they still have, and they add more, instruments, like musicians for certain songs and all that. But I think you still have that simple, five-guy vibe on this record. And I think that's what really works. So we'll start off with the first song on the album, and of course the biggest hit on the album was Misery. And the music video, of course, is a little silly, but as a song, it works pretty well. I mean, the guitar work is good. I think Adam Levine does a good job at carrying the song. It's a good, I don't know, I feel like I still get nostalgic vibes when I listen to it. I think definitely get of the 2010s and all that. I think it's a good song to start it off and all that, and I think it works pretty well. I mean, it's definitely, I think, one of my favorite Maroon 5 songs. It was the only song that I really knew from this album. There was not really a lot of other songs that would play on the radio from this album besides that. And, so the second song is Give a Little More. And, it's got a cool beat and all that. But I think... I'm just not into the whole melody or, like, the type of tone of, like, Adam Levine's voice and the chorus. Like, the beat is good, but, the lyrics and the rest of the song I just don't think add up and all that. But, there might be some others that like it. But when coming at number 3... we got Stutter, and that's really cool too, like the way the music works and the way he even, shows like the stutter, because it sounds like sometimes it's, you make me want to shut up, like, stutter, and it works pretty well. I mean, like the beat, I think the thing that really stands out on a lot of these songs is how powerful the beat is, and it works, with the type of, even if it's a little, I don't really even think the problem with this album is that it's overproduced. I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like there is a good use of instrumentation, and they do a good job at showing that, but I think that's what really shines throughout each song is the type of instrumentation on it. And that works on Stutter, that works on Don't Know Nothing, and, you know, some have like the same tune and all that stuff, and definitely have a little bit of what was going on in 2010, because I feel like 2010's music was still similar to actually songs that were earlier in that decade. So it works too. I mean, Never Gonna Leave This Bed was the other single. I like that too. I think it's a sweet song. I think you know, it definitely, I think yeah, it was another single from the album. And yeah, I've it's funny, I first got into this song 10 years later and all that, and it was, I think I started listening to this song, like, right before the pandemic, actually, and I would run to this song, and, like, you know, when I'd be going on my runs and all that, and I was thinking, it's like, yeah, this is actually, you know, it works pretty well, you know, it definitely, you could tell it was a song that was for 2010, but, you know, it's, you know, it doesn't have music doesn't have a date, you know, or it shouldn't. If it does have a date, then it's not a good song, really. If a music has a date, if it doesn't have a date, then it's pretty. It's a good beat, and I feel like, you know, it does a good job at not having too much of a date on it, you know. And then we got I Can't Lie. I think I Can't Lie is actually one of, you know, a good standout song on this album. You know, it definitely. That definitely gives me vibes of songs about Jane, like Sunday Morning, Must Get Out, like, you know, yeah, like Don't Know Nothing's got vibes from It Won't Be Before So. I can't even say it so long. It won't be soon before long. I can't say it right. That's sad. And I just did a review of that album too. Isn't that sad? But yeah. No, so, but yeah, with that, I mean, of course, you know, yeah, I Can't Lie definitely had, yeah, like, it really does have that songs about Jane vibe, but it's able to still be, you know, a good, like, you know, thank God that, you know, we're able to still have, you know, because the problem too with Maroon 5 is they had such a gap in their albums that, you know, times change with the music, and what does that mean? Are they gonna change? And they do a good job at keeping relevant with this, with what they were doing, you know, that they weren't making any twists and turns, you know, and it works. And I think it works pretty well. Like Hands All Over, the same thing. You know, it's the title track. I mean, it's not that memorable, and there are some songs on this that aren't as memorable as, you know, more so, like, I feel like a lot of songs about Jane are definitely memorable. I mean, there were a few on It Won't Be Before So Long. Oh, I said it right that time. Yeah, It Won't Be Soon Before Long, and I think it's like, so I didn't fully, but okay, you're getting off topic. But no, so really, it really is though that, like, you know, even though there aren't some songs that aren't as memorable, it's still, you know, they still work, you know. And, you know, like Runaway is pretty good. You know, Get Back in My Life, How. I mean, they're okay. I mean, they're catchy at times, but they're not as memorable as a song like Misery, or even Never Gonna Leave This Bed, or even Stutter, or Don't Know Nothing About That, you know. But one song that I think probably is the best song on the album after listening to it, like, you know, multiple times, is Just a Feeling. And when you hear that, it's like, oh yeah, it's like, damn, that's something. It's like, yeah, and like you're listening to it and you're just like relaxing, you're like, oh my god, you know. And I feel like the best way to listen to this song is close your eyes and just like, like, you know, knock everything out and just close your eyes. Yeah, and yeah, no, and I mean, I will say the one thing I don't like about the song is the chorus is a little not as good as like the build up to it. But it works pretty well. Like that's like how I felt about Wake Up Call. But like, you know, yeah, like the way like She Cries, This Is More Than Goodbye. Like, oh my god, and like the harmonies on it is good too, and it really helps with Adam Levine's voice. I don't know if I like because I think it's like his voice is overdubbed, and I don't know how much I like that, but that's like, if anything, that's my only problem with that, really. But the last song on the album is Out of Goodbye, and that was with Lady Antebellum, which was a big group at that time, and all that stuff. They were well known, and I think it's a good collaboration too. Works pretty well with the voice of of both, having like a male and a female voice, working well, blending really. It's really this intimate connection, and that's what music can be. It's this intimate connection without, it's almost like, the physical part of a relationship. And I remember hearing this from Linda Ronstadt made this statement, that it's almost like singing in harmony with somebody is almost like sex, in a sense that there's this very much of this intimate connection, and you can hear it in like a song like Out of Goodbye, and it works well. And it's not too over the top, and both the voices blend well together, and even the music works well together too. That blends well too. And yeah, so that's the last song technically on the first release of the album. In 2011, they reissued it because I didn't know when I would talk about it, but I feel like this is the best time to talk about it. Maroon 5's probably biggest hit, which is Moves Like Jagger. And, it was released a year later. They recorded it in 2011, and, it became, a big single, but they decided to reissue it with the Hands All Over album. And, let's talk about, Moves Like Jagger. As a song, I think it's actually pretty good. I think it's a really, it's a cool thing of, comparing yourself to Mick Jagger. And Adam Levine talked about when they were making the song, they were thinking of, they were wondering how they were going to do it, because it's a pretty, ballsy type song to do. And a lot of thanks has to go to producer Benny Blanco, who is probably one of the biggest producers of the 2010s, producing artists like Justin Bieber, Kesha, and a top so many other artists that you can think, like Katy Perry. I mean, so many artists that that are big. He's worked with, Charlie Puth. But Moves Like Jagger. It's just. It's a really good tune as well, and I think, like, how I say that even at this time Maroon 5 was picking up a little bit more, and they had a little bit more of like other musicians and all that stuff, like touring musicians. This song is able to still feel like a 5-piece group, and they've got Christina Aguilera and all that, and Maroon 5 was become big even with songs about Jane, but even with It Won't Be Soon Before Long. They were already, like I said, Adam Levine was collaborating with Kanye West and Rihanna, so and Alicia Keys. So, but yes, I mean, the thing with this is they were already becoming, they were already big at this point. It's like when Moves Like Jagger came out, then they were. If they needed to still climb the ladder of fame, they already had it at this point, And I mean, the problem too is I feel like this is when they got too commercial. And I'm not always for it when an artist gets too commercial to the point where it's like where it seems like the hype is more popular than the actual music. Because that's sort of what happened with Adam Levine. That's when, people make jokes like the Adam Levine Band. That's when you can start making jokes. Like, it became the Adam Levine Band because he got on The Voice. He then became like, a star on The Voice. And like Christina Aguilera was also on The Voice, who also is, collaborates on this song. But as a song, but yeah, so that's the problem with it. This is the point where it got too commercial for me, yet I still think it's a good song. And I think that even though, like I say, that when things get too commercial time, the hype is bigger. And even though I think the hype was, a little bit bigger than the song, because you have the video and everything. When you listen to the song's a pretty good tune. Like, it's like, when you hear it, it's like, the music's good, the bass line's good. I mean, Adam's voice is good. Christina sings a good, verse and all that. So, yeah. I mean, that's what I can say with that. So, my final thoughts is that this was This album was a blend of, styles, what they did on Songs About Jane and what they did on It Won't Be Soon Before Long, So it was definitely, another good, type of album that, just has, just has their voices, the production seems okay, doesn't seem too crazy and all that. So this definitely gets a Paula Abdul for me.
We love you, we love you, we love you.
Yeah, that's that. So will they be able to make it big with their next album that we're talking about? I guess you'll have to find out. See you guys next time. Bye.